Hi everyone, welcome to Type Talks. Today we have Vchuefeu defining TI. A simple way to put TI is, what is it not?
Yeah, with TI, it always encapsulates that kind of no function that Joyce has always talked about. The kind of function of nope and just more noping on everything. Because with me, TI is always trying to filter down something, whatever that thing is. It's trying to filter down to its corest essence. And the quickest way to filter that thing down is by filtering out what it's not. And that's the quickest way for me to find things. So I can easily toss out things that don't exist with it.
Yeah, there's this process with thinking functions where they're removing the fluff. So they're taking away all the non-essentials, everything that is irrelevant or everything that distracts from the core logic, and they're basically pruning them. So introverted thinking is this automatic filter in which it decides whether or not to accept certain pieces of logic in. And so TI has an automatic disbelief with everything that it hears. When you hear something, you kind of ask yourself, what is false about this?
What is false? And also, you want to be careful not to. So TI does not want to just say no and be dismissive just for the sake of it. TI really wants to get to the core of what something is not. And when you cross that final threshold, it becomes false. So for me, it was, say, steaks. I like my steaks rare. I actually like them blue, but maybe not everyone knows what blue is. Anyways, I like my steak rare, which is the certain setting of redness on the steak. Now, if someone cooked me a steak that's well done, I can objectively say that well done and rare are not the same thing. So I can take that away. Medium rare is probably a little closer to rare, but it's not quite rare. So I can dismiss that claim. If it's like rare, then it matches what I have in my mind for rare, and I can accept the two. But if it's, say, like fresh from the cow, that's totally different from rare too. So I'm not going to accept that also. So TI is very particular about what something is until you take the thing away and it's not. So with the steak analogy, I can cut into my steak at, say, like a steakhouse, and even though the server or the cook may say one thing, I might see something different. I can compare, contrast the two and go, my mind wants my steak to be this rare, yet I see all this doneness. I think I need to send my steak back.
Yeah, and TI does that with logic. So it knows when things are not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly completely accurate. When TI hears things, if it's a dominant function, sometimes they automatically don't believe it because they don't always think people think things through.
Correct.
So
yeah.
They want to make sure that your claims are sound.
Yeah, both making sure the experience is sound and that situation that they present was the only possible way to get that. So with TI, it wants to make sure that people are saying the one thing that's the one possible scenario given for what they've encountered and whatnot. So if someone says this cookie tastes bad, what is bad? Bad could mean a lot of things. Bad could mean like it fell on the ground and got stomped on bad. Or it could just mean someone put not enough sugar in it's bad. There are too many variables to account for what someone defines as bad. And so that's where me as the TI user would kind of distrust what someone says when they say a cookie tastes bad.
Yeah, you want to figure out what they mean by the word bad.
Correct. And the one particular example of bad, because again, bad could mean many things. So what's the one thing that bad is not? Bad is in an objective cookie standpoint, or bad is in food safety standpoint?
Yeah, and what this exemplifies is the precision of introverted thinking. So it doesn't want to cloud up variables. It wants to clean slice data. It wants to be able to get what the thing is without all the things that are associated with that thing that muddy it up. It doesn't want muddy logic. It wants clean, clear, crisp logic.
Yeah, and it also, again, with that clean clearness, it wants to make clear distinctions between one thing and another. And so that's where, again, it goes back to the idea of what is not. So a bad cookie because, say, it fell on the floor is bad for different reasons from, say, a bad cookie because someone didn't know how to cook. There's different logics to how the cookie was made, even though it's still the same cookie.
Yeah, so TI is the dominant function. People might be able to recognize it by seeing it as a little bit of a no machine. So when you say something, it might go like, I don't know if I completely agree with that. So
correct, yeah. And I've also been called like someone who's just contrarian, who's semantic, pedantic. And so you want to be careful to make that distinction because I really want to get to like the bottom kernel of something. So I do come across as maybe contrarian, semantic, pedantic, but it's just really to get to the truth of it, not just because I'm trying to troll you or just trying to be controlling or anything. I really want to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, so TI sometimes might seem like it's splitting hairs or getting stuck, but that's just because it doesn't want to move on until things make sense. Or
Correct.
they know when things sound fishy. They might move on, but they still know that it sounds not completely accurate or truthful.
Hmm.
And so, one of the core features of introverted thinking is skepticism. A person who has high TI oftentimes is skeptical of other people's statements and might go like, is that really true? How is that false? What part of that is untrue?
Correct. And how did they get to that also? Like, what did they do or not do to also get to that place? And can they get the same result with different variables factored in also?
And so TI really prizes having a mind of your own and thinking things through for yourself, seeing what makes sense to you after you've logicked it yourself. So it's going 50 layers deep in logic. And so if this equals that, then that, then that, then that. But it's trying to refine the algorithm of how to understand something in its mind.
Correct.
So it's this deciding process to figure out, what do I believe in? What do I believe this is not?
Hmm.
So deciding what is true and deciding what is false, but deciding more what is false than what is true. It's easier to dismiss something as false than to claim something is true. So TI may be really quick to claim something is false, but not sure what to replace it with. Because it's way easier to eliminate what is illogical and say like false, that can definitely not be true, false, than to claim anything is true. Because you actually have to eliminate to the point where only the truth stands to get
Correct.
to the truth.
And it's always easier to start at the false statements and work your way inwards towards the truth. It's just with me being a lead TI users, I just can cut through the falses so fast that boom, 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 we're already here. We're closer to the truth of what something is. And then this is where you start seeing that semantic, pedantic version of TI users come across. But since this is my hero function, I'm just so quickly cutting through all the falsehoods.
And so on the outside, what this can look like is that TI users are very good at being skeptical towards ideas, but not offering alternative things to do. So,
Correct. It
yeah,
comes across as very, again, contrarian and stuff, but that's not because that's like, say, my identity. I don't take pride in wanting to become the contrarian. It's just we really need to get to the one kernel, the one grain, the one whole truth of what the essence is of something. And so in order to get that, the quickest way is to cut out falsehoods. And the next quickest way is to begin to define things of what is and what is not.
yeah. And it's easier to figure out what is not to get to what is.
Correct. Because when something is something, it's definitively the one thing only, and it cannot be the other things.
Exactly. TI users really value honesty and truth. And so if it's in the dominant position for the INTP and ISTP, they might be very unsure about a lot of topics because they haven't found how to cut off all the falsehood to get to that one thing, like that truth, the truthiest truth.
Yeah.
But once they have gotten there, you have someone who has a very strong opinion.
Yeah, strong opinion, and it can come across as being very stubborn when you want them to change their said opinion on the matter, just because they really have TI thought through as much of the stuff that they've thought about. But again, it's all personal logic and stuff, but everything is personal to them, and they've really thought it through to that nth degree. And so when you want them to change their mind on something, you really have to make sure you would have outthinked everything that they thought about and make sure you addressed all possibilities and all falsehoods and all likelihoods of something.
The TI user is the ultimate authority to what they deem is true. And so they have to be the last one to convince themselves that they think what you're saying is true. And so, yes, they can come off as stubborn sometimes because they're not changing their mind until they think your argument is convincing enough.
Correct. And that's where also sometimes having us see the FE machinations also greatly upsets us, because you're not tackling the truth of the matter. You're trying to use FE machinations to get the tribe to get on us to change our side. So be careful. You really do. It is a balance to try to work on those two axes, but you do really want to get to the truth of the matter and let the TI users decide for themselves what they want to believe in.
And so our conversation today is a little bit flavored by introverted intuition because it is in Vchuefeu's function stack as an ISTP. But generally, the things that we say today apply for both the ISTP and the INTP very strongly.
Correct, yeah.
Are there any last thoughts that you feel you have?
Please don't be offended when TI users get into that mode of being no. Like 1 time out of 10, we probably are trying to be contrarian and just be mean and troll you. But 9 times out of 10, that is our hero function. We are really trying to get down to the nitty gritty. So if people could just please indulge us once every 10 times to just help us really deep dive and really get to the bottom of something, we would really appreciate it, instead of just putting up walls and just claiming us to be X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. And so thank you so much for coming out, Vchuefeu.
Of course.
You have a very strong TI sword that cuts through the logic very cleanly. You make the world a more accurate place to be in.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you all in the next episode.